27, 2025 Board of Education meeting to order. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Consent agenda will be first. We have two items, the approval of the minutes of September 22nd board meeting, as well as the statement of receipts and expenditures for September 2025. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
First and a second, any additional discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that passes. Superintendent's report.
Yes, so this is the final week of our first quarter. So we have parent-teacher conferences this week, and then no school on Friday, November 1st for conferences and grading planning for teachers in the afternoon. It's Red Ribbon Week across the district, and it's a reminder, Red Ribbon Week is a national initiative focused on promoting healthy, drug-free lifestyles and supporting students' overall well-being. So at Kennedy and Woodview, students will celebrate under the theme, Really Excellent Decisions, RED. Each day will highlight a different wellness focus, such as healthy routines, kindness, physical activity, and mindfulness, through classroom activities, reflection questions, and visual displays designed to encourage positive choices and community connection. At John Long Middle School, activities will emphasize healthy choices and community building through SOAR lessons on bullying prevention, spirit days, and visits from Zaki Family Services and a therapy dog. The Student Council will also lead a fundraiser. Saw them today selling bracelets and candy bags to benefit Serona Recovery's Healing Point House. And at Grafton High School, students will engage in daily announcements and themed activities promoting leadership, self-awareness, and healthy decision-making. Highlights will include lifesaver handouts with positive messages, a Red Ribbon Week Kahoot, and Leo's Club Treat Station Wear Red Day, a health fair during parent-teacher conferences featuring local organizations, and puppy yoga as a healthy stress relief activity. Across all schools, Red Ribbon Week will reinforce the district's shared commitment to empowering all students to make positive choices, support one another, and lead healthy, purposeful lives. The other topic I have here is called Educational Funding Partners, and this is going to become a standing item under the superintendent's report. This change provides a dedicated, consistent space for organizations that financially support our students, such as the GEF, PTGs, and our booster clubs, to address the board. Moving forward, these groups will no longer need to use the open comment section. Updates shared via email will also be delivered here during the report, and I have one of those in my possession. A GEF update for the school board to let you know and the community know things that are going on with them. They have their Seeds to Harvest annual appeal is in full swing. Hopefully everyone received their green envelopes in the mail. You can send envelopes back or make a donation to GEF online on our website through PayPal. Their next event is it's a holiday gift wrapping event. I think this is their second annual one, on December 21st from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at BSG. You can drop off your gifts, and our volunteers will wrap them for you for a suggested donation of $2 per gift. And then the next GEF meeting will be held on November 10th at 7 p.m. here in the GHS library, and all are welcome to join them. And if there are any other educational funding partners here, which I do not see any, but we would, in the future, we would allow them to come and present to the board in this section here and not in the open comment piece. And then one item of note is we are grateful to once again receive funding from the United Way of Greater Milwaukee and Washington County through the Helping Kids Succeed initiative. For the 25-26 school year, the district has been awarded $122,000 grant to continue supporting key programs that promote student success. The funds are used to provide K-8 tutoring services starting November 4th, which enhance literacy and math growth through Lexia and Alex programming, and support the district's kindness and courage retreats programming through Youth Frontiers. This is the final year of United Way's generous funding, and we are deeply appreciative of their continued partnership in helping every student succeed. So something that is a grant funded that is coming to us, which we appreciate. And then a couple accolades for the high school that we want to mention, as well as one for the middle school. Boys and girls cross-country teams competed in sectionals. This past Friday, the boys finished 4th overall, girls finished 6th. Senior Callie Faust finished 5th overall individually and qualified for state for the 4th consecutive year. She'll compete in Wisconsin Rapids this Saturday. for state. Volleyball, girls volleyball, they repeated as regional champions for the second consecutive year by defeating New Berlin Eisenhower on Saturday night, and they travel to New Berlin West on Thursday in a sectional semifinal at 7 o'clock at night, and if they win, they would move on to a sectional final at Whitefish Bay on Saturday for a trip to state. And then football won their level 1 playoff game at home and play again this Friday versus Merrill, and if they win that, they would play again at home the following week, and if they would win again, they would have a neutral site for level 4. And last but not least, Elizabeth Mueller, Executive Director of the Chamber of Commerce, has a special announcement to make, so I'll invite Elizabeth to the mic.
Thank you for allowing me to come tonight. Today we had a great celebration. We all know and love Kelly Reek, and she was nominated to be Grafton Area Chamber of Commerce's Outstanding Citizen. So we were able to award her that today. I kind of wanted to back up. We did Career Cafe this week at the high school. It is our new initiative with our businesses. We are basing it off what the career clusters. Last month in October, it was manufacturer awareness as well. So we did the building and moving cluster. We were able to bring 4 businesses. That's the key number that the high school wants to come in. And it's not like any other career fair. It is during their lunchroom, and they can approach the tables, and they're all interactive. So if they went up to Capco that was there, they were able to use a hammer and make a metal stamp, and it had a GHS on it. And then the water treatment plant did some experiments with water. Philip Lithau let them put together a box, a gingerbread house, I should say. And then Ram Tool had a die there, and it was just interesting to listen to the kids ask the questions. So it was cool. Next month, we are doing Caring for Your Community. And so we have Aurora, Grafton Police Department, Ozaki Fire Department, who am I missing? Blue Sky Wellness, and Evolve Physical Therapy that'll come in. So the kids can take the time and go talk to them. So it's a really cool thing. Super excited about this, and kudos to Scott Manti. He does not want credit for it, but he said if it succeeds, it was his idea, and so it succeeded. But you know what? We always have an outstanding citizen, and we also have an outstanding community group. And so I am actually here to present the school board with the outstanding community group this year. I got a glowing letter from Lester Bartell, speaking of you guys very highly, and the committee has chosen you guys. So several of you have been through this already as the outstanding citizen, but now you get to go through as the outstanding community group. So you don't get to be the grand marshal this year, but you get to participate. So I have folders for each of you, and I also have the famous Grafton chocolate bars, from Handmade with Love, but that was just a little business plug there. So, but congratulations, reach out to me and we can talk more about it. You'll also be hearing from News Graphic and hopefully Ozaki Press as well. So, thank you. Do you have a chocolate preference?
Oh, dark.
Oh, yeah.
This is a good day.
I don't know, Lester must want something. Take one, pass it on.
Guy, Lester. Hearing a lot about it.
2 years in a row, look at you.
Take whichever one's one.
Make sure this is.
Thank you.
Oh, I gave you 2, I think. Yeah.
Oh, that was me, stealing them out.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
And then.
Jerry's not here. I'll get that to him. Yep. You want a picture with them? You want to?
He's not into that sort of thing. Unless he watches. Make sure Jerry gets that one as well. You definitely could be a little sweeter.
Thanks, Elizabeth, and thanks for the partnership with the Chamber in just a variety of ways, but congratulations to our school board. Amazing to have you be recognized in this way, and we just had School Board Appreciation Month, or week, I guess, not month, but week, so.
Caramel apple.
They did, they got a Sweet Trio apple. Another plug for a business, a different business, but definitely Sweet Trio. Yep, that works. I figured you'd like that. And with that, that concludes the superintendent's report.
Comments or questions for Jeff? Well, thank you very much, and, certainly, congratulations to Kelly Reek. I mean, outstanding, I've had to deal with her with many things. Thank you. So, but congratulations to her, very, very well deserved. Okay, thank you again. That brings us to public comment. I did receive one email that I did forward on to the board today, so if anyone received that, is there anyone else that has public comment? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to item C, informational items from our October 20th Finance Committee meeting.
Yes, so first, we'll go over some informational pieces. To start off, Finance Committee, we had Jill Schwensen come on behalf of the Woodview PTG, who presented plans for a new playground for the kindergarten through second grade students. The playground, used twice daily and located on the north end of the Woodview property, will replace the existing 20-year-old structure. Total fundraising goal for this project is a little bit north of $154,000, with $35,000 in seed money from the PTG. The equipment will be purchased from Burke following a competitive quote process. This is envisioned as a 2-year project involving various fundraising efforts and a tiered system of support levels, which will be recognized with a sign on the property upon completion. Another item that was up for information at the Finance Committee was the teacher OPEB discussion. In discussions on ideas to attract and retain teachers more effectively, administration noted that teachers were seeking salary increases rather than increased retirement benefits. Last spring, Foster & Foster, our actuarial firm, was contracted to determine the salary equivalent of the existing OPEB for teachers. The goal is to replace the OPEB benefit with an equivalent salary increase, allowing for more effective budget management in order to align our resources to attract and retain quality staff. At the September Finance Committee meeting, Jeff and I presented this replacement, offering teachers within 10 years of eligibility or with 20 years of district service the option to retain the current benefit or accept the salary increase, while all other teachers would receive the salary increase in lieu of those retirement benefits. The Finance Committee expressed interest in the administration presenting this concept to staff to gather their feedback. During the September 22nd Professional Development Day, we, along with our actuarial firm, presented the information to staff during 2 separate presentations. Following that meeting, staff were provided information on how many years they were from retirement eligibility, along with a calculator to help conceptualize the value of the salary increase. 2 weeks later, Jeff and I went to each of the buildings during the various staff lunch periods to gather feedback from teachers and met with union leadership. The feedback had 3 primary themes. 1, to expand the choice of salary or current benefit to all current staff, to make the salary increases related to trading the benefit larger, and to create 1-year bands for salary determination rather than using the 3-year bands. We took this feedback to the October Finance Committee last week, which was followed by discussion on this topic in general, as well as the feedback received. In general, some members on the Finance Committee expressed openness to expanding the choice between the current OPEB and the salary increase to all current teachers, not just for those within 10 years of eligibility or 20 years in the district. The administration is comfortable supporting this concept as it addresses a concern raised by teachers and offers them the choice to retain their existing benefit or opt for a higher salary instead. So we're bringing this forward to the full board tonight to get further feedback from the board as a whole, with the idea that we, administration, would then use that feedback to bring this back in November to the board for approval. So with that, before I move on to the last informational piece, I will turn it back over to Steve to elicit any comments, thoughts, questions.
Yeah, first, I mean, Finance Committee and the administration, thank you for all your time and effort. I think the discussion's been really good to get to this point. Would this be something that we would vote on in November? So any comments, questions, additional things that you would want to see in order for us to have that vote a month from now? Bob?
So just to be clear on like the outcome of us voting on this, is that it becomes optional for them to make this decision, or is this just an implementation at that point?
I believe the recommendation that, or the discussion at the Finance Committee meeting, and kind of what Topher just said, that this would be something that would be open to everyone. So any existing staff member will have the choice. Any new staff member hired after this, or the start of the next school year, then they would default into the higher salary, correct?
And it's a one-time decision.
Right.
They would have to make, existing staff would have to make that choice at one time, and then it's done going forward. I mean, we talked about it, finance, and it, yeah, it makes it easier or more of an option for everybody. It's gonna make a little bit of salary administration a little bit different, because you'll have two tiers potentially of somebody that opted for the salary increase, and so they'll be in a different bracket, and then those that, I shouldn't say bracket, but at a higher scale, and those that opt to keep the retirement benefit would be at a lower salary, so it'd be different for recruiting. We would, according to Topher and Jeff, we'd look at new hires based on that higher salary amount, because that's one of the reasons to do this, is to bring in staff at a competitive salary wage. So yeah, we would have potential teachers at varying points in their salary, but potentially same years of service, same type of teaching responsibilities, et cetera.
I don't think we touched on how long would teachers, how long would teachers have to make that decision? And what supporting documentation would we provide to help them take to their people to go through that?
Yeah, so you'd be looking to get this done, one would presume, by the end of January. So right now, this has been out in front of them. They've had the calculator, they've had discussions. We certainly would be looking at bringing in, we have done it in the past, we think there would be a lot more interest now in bringing someone in during the PD day. We have the wellness hour, someone who could talk about investing and, making those financial planning decisions to help with that. But then they'd also get the information so that, let's say, for example, over the winter break, they could maybe meet with a financial planner if they have one, or find one if they don't, or talk with family, however they make financial decisions.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? I mean, it's not intended at all to be anything that we're taking away. It's just to give another alternative to this. So I 100% agree with the suggestion that came out, and appreciating that it is a little bit more work, but you will know exactly where those people are if they keep the benefit. So it'll help us with planning purposes from that standpoint. So I think that's extremely doable as well. So, good.
It doesn't, I guess one thing I will say too, it doesn't exactly achieve, I mean, drawing the line and closer to that that eligible time doesn't help eliminate that OPEB anytime sooner, potentially, if somebody opts for it to retain it, who's further away from retirement, that OPEB would still be out there, which was one of the kind of the goals, but to not have that liability going many, many years into the future.
And we were at that 20 years in the district or 10 years away from retirement. And we probably heard from 3 people that were within that 15-year range, because no one was in 11, 12, or 13. They got that 14 or 15, that was probably the piece there, so that would give them that option. But I think anyone younger than that or less experienced, it's hard to forecast that far in advance. I mean, and that's been part of our problem. It's hard to tell a 25-year-old, if you stay for 30 years, then you'll have this benefit, this OPEB benefit waiting for you your whole life plus 5 more years. So that's been a struggle with that, which we think this would address that with, as they're looking at other salaries, and we're one of the few districts in the area that still have OPEB benefits. So that make us more competitive with that. So it's helpful to hear from the board. We'll come back then in November, which gives staff time as well, and we'll begin planning with that.
So in November, we'll have that kind of all detailed, kind of, you know, this would be when we presented, this is when we would have to get information back, and then we'll be able to use this for the recruitment as we need for the 26-27 school year. Okay.
Yep, we'll have a rollout plan of it ready in November, then for the board meeting.
Okay. All right, everyone's comfortable with that? Okay, thank you. Dover?
Yes, the last piece of information, last informational item from the Finance Committee meeting was the John Long Middle School construction project update. So with the 5th grade edition operational to start the school year, we are nearly completely built out on the construction work that occurred this past summer. We also reviewed owner-managed projects that were completed without using design or construction management services, thus saving the fees for those services. And we also reviewed owner-managed projects that are currently underway and should be completed in the near term, as well as owner-managed projects that are upcoming with a slate set for execution next summer. And that would be it for the informational items from the Finance Committee meeting.
Okay. Any other questions for the informational items? Okay. Thank you, Topher. Let's go to the recommendations for the board. Item D.
All right, first up is the health insurance renewal at the Finance Committee meeting. Dan Mongovan of the Horton Group came to present information regarding our renewal. First, we looked at our claim activity over the past 3 years to measure that out, weighting years that were more near term, more heavily than ones from the more distant past. And then we took those claims, if you will, and took our other pieces of our health insurance costs, the actual insurance pieces, if you will, stop-loss insurance, transplant insurance, gene therapy insurance, the TPA services, as well as the PBM, the pharmacy benefit manager, which switching that pharmacy benefit manager is a big piece for reducing our projected costs for healthcare. Just switching from Optum to the, and now I'm going to blank on their name. TrueScripts, thank you. Is projected to save about $350,000 just because of the pharmacy mix that our user group uses. So what that gets us to is about a projected 5% increase in what we expect costs to be. The district administration is recommending, and out of finance came a recommendation to increase the funding sources by 10%. So the district and employees would contribute 10% more than they did last year. The idea behind that would be, as you recall, our first 6 months being self-insured, we're able to sock away a little over $100,000 into a reserve fund. The next year, the next 12 months, we were underwater by about $580,000. So that $100,000 wasn't nearly enough to protect us from that bad year. We are currently, and we'll talk about this later during the first quarter budget report, we're a little over $100,000 underwater through the first quarter of this fiscal year. If we stay there through December, and then if costs actually do come in 5% higher, but our funding sources are 10% higher, we'll actually break even for the fiscal year. So the idea would be, we'd like to put some money, get some money set aside into that reserve fund so we can level out our future increases in the funding levels. So this shows the total contribution starting January 1st, the annual contribution, broken down by the employer portion and employee portion. Then here you can see the change for the employer contribution from 2025 to 2026 for the 4 different plans that we offer. And then here you can see the impact to the employee annually, per month, and per paycheck, depending on which plan they are on. So we do have from finance a recommendation to approve these insurance renewals. Before we get to that, I will also review dental. So here you can see that this year, our renewal for dental insurance is 28%, which is a lot for 1 year. However, when we locked in with MetLife a couple of years ago, it was a 2% decrease with a multi-year lock. So for 4 years, over the course of, I should say, 3 years, it was actually down 2%. So over that 4-year period, it increased an average of 6.4% per year. We're essentially catching up to the inflation that was occurring while we were somewhat locked into a multi-year deal. And this is the impact that our employees would see annually, per month, and per paycheck with this renewal. This also came out of Finance Committee with a recommendation to approve the 2026 dental insurance renewal with MetLife. With that, I'll turn it back over to Steve to discuss.
Comments or questions based on the renewals? One of the things that I know that Dan did note that he's going to follow up with us on is some additional opportunities and things to investigate for improvements in the future. So that'll certainly be something that I think we will want to make sure that we have so we can give ourselves some additional options in the future to hopefully offset some of these rising costs.
Yeah, I think it was an important part of the discussion too, that out in the marketplace of similarly sized plans, you're seeing 12, 15, 20% renewals. And so when we went self-funded and took a hit year 1, now we're kind of seeing the benefits of that. So 10% in this marketplace today, and the ability to maybe get ahead of some in the future is a really big deal. Something Dan also brought up was that we're not changing any of the benefits. Often when you get price increases, what you do is you cut what you get, and it's nice that we're in a place where we don't have to do that.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Okay, good. All right, so we got to take these in 2. So the first one, I would look for a motion to approve the health insurance renewal and employer contribution amount starting January 1st, 2026.
Second.
First and a second, additional discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, and that passes. And the second is the dental insurance renewal. We look for a motion to approve the 2026 dental insurance renewal with MetLife.
Second.
Additional discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, and that passes. So once again, thank you to the work of Topher and the Finance Committee to meet and get that for us. All right. Lost my agenda. Next, we have personnel report. Oh, I'm sorry, recommendation, I'm sorry,
D2.
2026 final budget and levy certification.
Can't miss that one. Got to do that one, that's important.
It's hiding there, too.
No, that's all right. So we began this process back in February, looking at revenue projections, and then into March and May with staffing projections, working on the preliminary budget in May and June, having the further meetings in September with the annual meeting, the budget hearing, and now we are finally about to cross the finish line for getting the budget and tax levy approved. So these were some of the pieces that we knew we would have to wait until October to get. And these things were mentioned at the annual meeting as we were having to use estimates for these pieces. So I'll go through these final numbers that did come in October and how they impacted the budget. Just a spoiler alert, the overall budget only changed by about $2,000 from the annual meeting, and the total tax levy is the same, but we'll go through these items which did, some of which changed, some did not. So our three-year membership average projection at the annual meeting was 2,073. That did not change. So the numbers came in, and that is exactly what we have. Big important part of the revenue limit, along with that $325 increase per member. So that pretty much hit spot on with what we were expecting. One thing that did change within the revenue limit was the private school tax levy. So we are estimating that the private school tax levy would increase about $250,000 over last year. We were pleasantly surprised, and that would be based on the fact that the dollar amount per member was going up significantly. Pleasantly surprised, it only went up about $110,000. And so when that gets applied onto the revenue limit, that revenue limit ends up dropping about $125,000. So that was the estimate that we were using at the annual meeting, $25,880,000. Final revenue limit is $25,756,000. Again, about $125,000 less than at the budget hearing and annual meeting. So out of that revenue limit, how much equalization aid are we going to get, which will then determine how much of the property tax levy will be needed to cover the additional portion. We were estimating $11,275,000 at the budget hearing. We also did say that we expected, because of the strategic moves, to double up on our Fund 46 transfer and to defease $1.3 million in debt at the end of last fiscal year, max basically taking our shared cost up to a certain point which would maximize our state aid, that we were expecting to get at least $500,000 more once that final aid amount was released, and it did come in at about $600,000 more than that July 1st estimate. So with that, we take what was $25.9 million revenue limit. This was the estimate from the annual meeting, which would have had $11.6 million in aid and a $14.3 million levy. Instead, with that decrease of about $125,000 in the revenue limit, increase of $600,000 in state aid, the tax levy within the revenue limit drops by about $700,000. Now, because of that, we are able to maintain the same all-fund tax levy of $19.9 million. This was the estimate that was used at the annual meeting, with the revenue limit tax levy of $14.3 million, $5.6 million to Fund 39. Instead, keep the overall fund tax levy the same. We're able to levy additional funds into Fund 39 to pay down future debt. And why is that important? Well, I mentioned earlier how we defeased back in June $1.3 million in debt. That helped us to increase our state aid by that $600,000, which minimizes our reliance on property taxes within the revenue limit. So by levying these additional dollars into Fund 39, in about a year and a half, we're going to be looking at defeasing debt again to try and maximize state aid and reduce our reliance on property taxes. So that is a key piece for our long-term strategy at maintaining a level tax levy. So that all-fund tax levy does not change. It stays at $19.9 million. That's a 3.4% increase over the prior year. We were estimating property values would go up 15%. Final property values actually grew by 16.6%. So we take that all-fund tax levy that doesn't change into a larger pool of property value. Instead of a $6.33 mill rate, we end up with a $6.24 mill rate, an 11.4% decrease. So overall, school taxes levied don't really change. That all-fund tax levy is the same. The school tax levy credit is still an estimate. We won't find out what that is till November, but we're not anticipating it to change much because the state did not allocate any additional dollars for that. So all said, the total school taxes levied would increase about 4.3%. However, with net new construction accounting for 3%, those new property values coming online would absorb most of that increase in the total school taxes levied, leaving just a 1.3% expected increase for remaining for the existing property owners for the school portion of their tax bill. This would mean we would meet our key performance indicator of total school taxes levied when accounting for net new construction, not increasing more than the rate of inflation. So we have two recommendations on the table coming from finance. One to approve the final 2025-26 adopted budget, and one to approve the certification of the 2025-26 levy. I'll turn it back over to Steve.
Same as what we got from the Finance Committee. Any comments, questions? Okay. Topher, thank you. Good work. As Topher mentioned, we have two recommendations for approval. So first, I would look for approval of the final 25-26 budget.
So moved.
First and second, additional discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, and that passes. And then the second, we would look for approval, to approve the certification of the 25-26 levy.
So moved.
Second.
Additional discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, that passes. So thank you very much, Topher. All right, now, personnel report.
I think winning that big award has sort of thrown us off a little here at the school board.
They're, in fact, taking it away.
Well, you've already eaten your chocolate, I think, so they're not getting that.
She's coming to take it back.
Personnel report, yes, thank you. We would ask for board approval for Sarah Schinkel, the new district EL coordinator. She would be starting on 12/1/25. So as a reminder, as the school began, our EL coordinator had resigned. We've been partnering with CISA 1, so we have that continuing throughout until January, so that we're going to have a little transition time of her coming on board part-time to work in that role. And then we have information only, Tammy Kaczynski, who's been our purchasing accounts payable and facilities manager in the district office. She'll be retiring effective December 5th of this year, so we wish Tammy the best as she heads into retirement, and being a wife and grandma and so forth. She's done a great job with us, and we'll miss her in retirement. And then we had Ryan Staniak, special education para at John Long Middle School, resignation.
Comments, questions?
Just to clarify, so the new EL coordinator is part-time? Not that
Yes.
it's part-time going, okay.
Yep, still part-time, yep.
Part-time,
So it was part-time when in our original situation, this one will also be part-time as well.
All right, I would look for a motion to approve Sarah Schinkel, district EL coordinator, starting 12/1/25.
Second.
Additional discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That passes. We welcome Sarah. We wish Tammy the best in her retirement, and we wish Ryan the best in his next career move as well. All right, 25-26 first quarter budget report.
After a brief intermission, I'm back. So we have the first quarter budget report, and this will look familiar. Each quarter, we provide this information. What looks a little different, normally this is color-coded green and gold. You may have expected even more green and gold with the big win yesterday. But actually, this is the most boring version of this spreadsheet I've ever presented. There really isn't a whole lot to write home about in terms of where numbers are shaking out in that first quarter. However, like we started last spring, we are going to each quarter take a look at how our health funding is going. So the healthcare costs, and we started doing this last spring. We'll do this every quarter. So for the first quarter, months of July, August, and September, we took a hit in July with expenses exceeding funding sources. We certainly had a much better August, where the funding sources outpaced the expenses. And then we were pretty close to even in September with a little bit of a loss there. When you look at that cumulative running total, taking that big hit in July, clawing quite a bit back in August, adding a little bit more in September, we're about $108,000 underwater, much better than last year. Last year, we were over $400,000 in expenses outpacing funding sources. So this is certainly much better, and expect, especially as we hit into the second half of the year with increased funding sources, to get some assistance there. So that's where we are tracking in terms of the self-funding. That is information only, but turn over if there are any questions.
Okay, information only. Thank you for the update. That brings us to enrollment updates. Oh, my goodness, Jeff, you are right. We're off today. 26 employee, too many things for Topher today. 26 employee benefits renewal.
Steve's trying to cut me out here.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, so.
I want to hear more about this.
All right, so bringing Vision Life long-term and short-term disability insurance renewals. This basically, there are no increases to any of these renewals. Life and long-term disability are 100% paid and provided for by the district. Life has no increase for next year. Long-term disability is locked through 2027. We also offer employees the opportunity, the optional opportunity to purchase short-term disability and vision insurance for themselves. Again, 100% paid for by the employee. Those rates for short-term disability locked through 2027. Vision, those rates locked through 2028. And so administration is recommending the approval of Vision Life LTD and short-term disability insurance renewals. So with that, I'll turn it over to the board.
Okay, comments, questions? Okay, I look for a motion to approve the 26 Vision Life LTD and short-term disability insurance renewals with our current providers with no change in employer contribution amounts.
So moved.
Second.
Additional discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That passes. Okay. Enrollment updates. Third Friday count.
All right, give you a break from Mr. Adams here. Two quick information-only updates for you, one being our third Friday count. You can see an historical and current by grade level breakdown of our enrollment, with 2,198 students enrolled as of third Friday this school year. And then the other update is around open enrollment. We continue to be a destination district with more students choosing to open enroll in than open enroll out of Grafton. So this past year, we did open up 34 seats. We had 21 new enrollments from those open enrolled seats. And we, like I said, continue to be a net positive district for open enrollment.
Comments, questions? Informational only? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Neola updates approved by superintendent.
These are per board policy. Anytime there's technical corrections or technical revisions approved by the superintendent at the next board meeting, I will alert the board to those technical corrections. So in our work with Neola, these 25 policies had technical corrections that were made to those, and our policy committee will meet and review all the other updates at right before our November board meeting.
Okay. Same thing, informational only.
Yes, it is.
Yep. Any comments, questions on these, mostly clerical, small? Okay, we have the list, all right. Thank you. Gift reports.
Yes, we have multiple gift reports that we would ask for board approval for. One being from Olson's Piggly Wiggly with Charlie Russell, the VP and GM of the Midwest Division, for Kennedy Elementary School's PTG. They donated a restricted gift of 50 dozen Long John donuts for the KES PTG Donuts with Grown-ups in the amount of valued at $500. We also have John Long Middle School PTG with Maggie Madden as the contact person. It was $496.40 items, the restricted gift for items for a portable outdoor classroom, a whiteboard, seat pads, and a wagon. And then from the Bayard Summersburg Group, Greg Summersberger, the contact person, donated $1,500 towards the homecoming fireworks show for the JHS Athletics restricted gift. We have blanking system, Frank Odlinger, for the FTC Robotics Random Engineers, a restricted gift for JHS Robotics in the amount of $1,000. And Grafton Athletic Booster Club with Adam Rigg as the contact person for GHS Tennis, a restricted gift for tennis bags in the amount of $1,786. And the Rotary Club of Cedarburg Grafton, Pat Tomei, contact person for GHS Robotics Random Engineers, restricted gift, grant for $1,000 for GHS Robotics.
All right. Comments or questions on the gift report? All right, I'll look for a motion to approve the gift reports as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Additional discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That passes. We thank our community for the generosity, and we will get a letter out to them. So thank you. That brings us, our next board meeting will be here on November 24th, and then after that one, then we will start our tour, correct?
December will start in Kennedy.
Yep, so November 24th, we'll be back here in the library. That brings us to adjournment. The Board of Education will consider a motion to convene in closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 19.85, Section 1, Subsection C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility for purpose of considering performance-related data of the superintendent quarterly review. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Voice vote?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
And yes, we are enclosed. Thank you, everyone.